Hello, welcome back to another episode. Although the demon of algorithms is less intimate than recent works, it nonetheless raises awareness of a subject that affects us all, whether we realize it or not. You don't have to be mindful of allowing evil into your life, since the internet has your number and will appeal to your base instincts and desires. In case you weren't paying attention, it all began with a case that no one thought would justify further investigation. Except for Monsignor, people would do anything to obtain popularity, no matter how fleeting, since our culture has grown dependent on social media credibility. Last week, a story about a fool who dropped his phone into the crater of Mount Vesuvius while snapping a selfie made headlines. But his dependence on the phone was so strong that he descended to get it, which is when everything went horribly wrong. Even if that individual lived, you can still be blissfully oblivious of the influence of likes and comments if you don't believe the press reports and internet coverage most certainly boosted his ego just enough to do another such trick again. Our assessors were curious once the door was unlocked to the realm of online possessions. Ben, who shared Ben's worry, created his own video to counter the girl's foolishness in the hopes of saving others the physical expenses they were incurring to duplicate the effects of the magician who began it. That is how they came into contact with a woman who was begging for assistance in dealing with a supposedly terrifying thing that was frightening her kids. Is it shocking that the mother of the terrorist was one? Her children were abused physically and were terrified to death. The fact that their mother handled it will have an impact much beyond any real possession, because seeking approval from strangers was more important than them. The person they trusted the most in the entire world had betrayed them. The biggest shock was that it wasn't the cops who came to her house after she was identified as the offender. I would have given the authorities access to those videos. Those children undoubtedly have other relatives who would look after them better than that pitiful excuse for a mother. How mentally unstable must you be to be prepared to live stream oneself cutting someone with scissors only to get attention? I suppose all we need to do is open TikTok to discover the depressing truths of it. Taking these cases gave Kristen, Ben, and David a chance to reflect on who they are.
Is what the great Heller uses. Sugar glass.
Kristen's journey down the rabbit hole took her from drunken mothers to violent mothers who wanted to kill their kids. From lone priests, David's investigation led him to darker places. And I couldn't help but worry if David was taking a bit too much pleasure in those likes on his uploads. What they found was that the content people intended to see was quickly overwhelmed by persistent proposals for new content. Ben went out to a coworker who provided him with the algorithm specifics when the clout-seeking mother sought to lay the blame for VidTaps taking over her app, uploading, and live streaming on its own. On the business, even if you merely hesitated out of morbid curiosity, the computer observes your behavior and suggests more of the same when you even slightly pause over a video or an advertisement. In reality, as was already mentioned, it's your curiosity that keeps you searching for new material online. Engineers specifically want you to operate in this way, and their code recognizes and takes advantage of that behavior. It's absurd to consider, yet that's where we are at the moment. Interference now influences our behavior rather than just encouraging it. We believe that we're free to do what we choose, but everything is using technology to force our hands to think and behave in a way that will make them the most money. The next time an executive or a news outlet attempts to convince you that they are looking out for you, stop what you're doing and analyze why you are interested in what they have to say. Is it truly an interest, or is it just a strong desire to blend in and be popular? Sadly, it appears that David is headed in the wrong direction and is following evil's instructions rather than his own. Kristen, the demon, is back. She was dressed as a sexy schoolgirl this time. Although David could see right through her games, as she persisted, he was intended to be drawn into her orbit. She is just like the algorithms and feeds off of David's responses. Every time David enters the open door, if you think back on the times you've chosen the wrong path, I believe you'll see David's behavior. However, David's demon is not really a metaphor. A devil is sucking the life out of David's head. Where could he be pushed by it? How is it leveraging the information it has gleaned from his brain against him? David appears to be sucked into its trap while also taking pleasure in his stay. A part of me imagined that when Sister Andrea opened the door to his room after hearing a disturbance, David would be writhing around in bed, either with a real demon or acting as though someone was with him. It turns out that it was worse than both of those ideas together. David's brain was consumed by the demon, which had a human-mosquito hybrid appearance, just as you might anticipate a typical mosquito consuming your blood, since Sister Andrea frequently has a demon at her side.
So talk to me. I won't bite.
There's something I want to talk to Kristen about.
I was concerned while making my Evil Season 3 Episode 5 review that she would be having an evil time. These anxieties were allayed by her response to David's situation. However, David's hostile demeanor towards Sister Andrea reveals that he is all too easily influenced by demons. And finally arrive at Leland. Leland was cleared by the Archdiocese of any wrongdoing with Lexus at the school. So Kristen had to set the rules once more for her daughters. The girls made the decision to act independently. They can see that Kristen is apprehensive about Leland, and she has every reason to be. But she need not be concerned about her daughters. They have all the tools necessary to care for themselves. They attempted to capture Leland using the Bumblebee app. It first didn't work, but they were ready for it. The church and Leland were specifically mentioned in their next plan of assault. That drew Monsignor's attention. Finally, we no longer have to wonder why Leland is a respected member of the church. It will be fascinating to see whether it spreads to other people. Instead of allowing Leland to enter a room unchallenged, perhaps everyone will recognize that he is not supposed to be there. Leland's use of torture against Kristen's family is more likely to continue, which is a shame. Although it was evident that Cheryl would help Leland and Edward in defeating her son-in-law, the thought never crossed my mind. Andy never moved from the city, but it was clear as soon as Kristen phoned and he didn't answer meaningfully. Cheryl poses a threat. She harms her daughter and granddaughters, trying to make her worse than all the guys put together. Their family is deliberately being destroyed by her. You know what really hit me? It's crazy. She is only setting up Andy's death so that Edward can give Kristen and the girls an extra $250,000. Cheryl, what the hell? I had more in mind along the lines of an extra $2 million. That could make their misery less intense. It's ridiculous to suggest $250K for the education of 5 females. Thanks for watching. Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget